Welcome to First Edition Friday. My name is Ben. This is where I get to talk about my books without having to watch the person in front of me roll their eyes out of boredom. I also get to tell you just some things to look for. Maybe you can find a first edition, first printing of a book, while you're out thrifting or at a garage sale. Maybe Grandma and Grandpa left you some books. Maybe you got a little treasure hidden on your bookshelf right now that you didn't even know about. Or if you're a collector, maybe something to look for. Make sure you don't get duped. Happens a lot. I trick people all the time. Just kidding. And so today I thought we would talk about Dan Brown. If you were around in the early 2000s and reading, you probably know about Dan Brown and his books. So the first one that went just absolutely nuts was the Da Vinci Code. In 2003, he published this. And I think by 2009, I think it had sold like 80 million copies. In 2003, when it came out, the only book that outsold it was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. So, if that tells you anything, it was a crazy, crazy phenomenon. So you find a copy, want to know if it's a first edition or first printing. So what we're going to do first is open up to the copyright page. Luckily for us with this one, it actually says first edition. And below the first edition, you've got the full number line. If you're unfamiliar, those number lines are the printing of that particular edition. So in this case, we've got 10 through 1. That 1, if the 1 is present, that means you are holding a first printing. If that number is 10 through 2, that means you're holding the second printing. 10 through 3, so on and so forth. Interesting fact about the Da Vinci Code is you can pull a copy of the Da Vinci Code, and that number line will be in the hundreds. It's crazy. They just really didn't change it much. And it sold 80 million copies, more than 80 million copies by now, I'm sure. So that's the first thing you want to look for. Second thing is the dust jacket. And so with the dust jacket on this one, it makes it kind of simple. Look for that price. The price of the first printing was $24.95. If there's no price or the price is anything other than that, you're not holding first printing, or maybe you are holding first printing with a later printing dust jacket. Sometimes people will find the first printing of the actual book, and then they'll find a dust jacket later. They get switched around, so definitely something to look for. The dust jacket is far and away the most important part of book collecting. Like if you don't have the dust jacket, the value is drastically less. So next thing, I don't know that it really differed a lot throughout the printings. I don't know that it changed at all, actually. But your boards and your spine are the black cloth. And so you can see that here. We've got black boards, black cloth. And so, like I said, not really something that changed. I don't know that it did at all, but in other books, that might be the only thing that tells you the difference between first printing or a first edition and later printings or later editions. So this one it's a little easy. So another thing you can look for is the size. The size is very much a telltale. So the book club edition of the Da Vinci Code is identical to the first printing. So the book club edition is just going to be smaller. It's going to be 1 inch shorter. So it's going to be 8.5 inches rather than 9.5 inches. The first time I actually found one with the full number line, I was so excited. Got home, did more research, realized I had bought the book club edition rather than the actual first printing. So I was super bummed. Luckily, I didn't spend a ton of money on it, but still something to look out for. Kind of running off of that, let's say all you've got are a couple pictures. You're looking at a book online. The one thing that you can look for, if they've got a picture, let's say, of that copyright page, it says first edition, full number line, 10 through down to 1. If you can see the back, what you're going to look for on the back is the barcode. The barcode on the actual first edition, first printing, is going to be this double barcode that you see here. The book club edition just has one single barcode. So super easy to tell whether you're looking at a book club edition or an actual first edition just by looking at that barcode. So just to get into sort of the values of this, it's book values get crazy. They can be similar to like those Disney VHS tapes. You know, some of them can be for sale for $1,000. You know, but you can find them for a lot cheaper. There's maybe nothing special about one that's being sold for $800 or $900. You know, if it's in fine condition and it looks the exact same way that it did when it was on the bookshelf brand new in 2003, you know, probably going to be worth a little more. I don't know that I would ever pay $1,000 for a first edition of the Da Vinci Code, but you know, if it's your favorite book, you know, looking for the best copy you can possibly get, they're out there. Signed editions definitely can get up there. You know, again, you can find them for a couple $100. If you've got a nice copy, those regularly sell on eBay. I see for, you know, over $100. So you can get $125, but I also see them, you know, $30. So, but you know, if you're a Goodwill or something and you find a nice copy for $3, you know, and turn around and sell it for 35, you know, that's not a bad little deal. And if you've got a really nice copy, you can, you know, there's a decent chance that you could sell it for, you know, over $100. I've picked up plenty of books that, you know, I paid 25 cents for and sold it for 250. So there's deals out there if this is what you're looking for. And so, yeah, like I said, it was Da Vinci Code. It was published for the first time in 2003, and it was so popular that later that year they printed Angels and Demons. And if you loved Da Vinci Code at that time and wanted to pick up something else, like this is the copy you likely got. Most people, if you'd only seen the movies, you probably thought that Angels and Demons came out after the Da Vinci Code, because that's kind of how they did it in the movies. Da Vinci Code came out first in, I think, 2006. And then in 2009, it was followed up with the Angels and Demons movie. This is the one that kind of made the ambigrams popular. You probably know somebody that got an ambigram tattoo because of this one. I'm sure that happened a lot more than we think. But what people don't know, again, is that it came out before. And so the first edition, this is what the actual first edition looked like. Super cool. It's got the entire front cover here is an ambigram. It's got the picture of the Vatican and, you know, Angels and Demons. It says it reads it both ways. You know, the entire cover, like I said. But yeah, super cool book. There weren't a lot of editions or printings of this one, so you know, there's not a lot of tricky bits. But so, you know, if you find this, regardless of what printing it is, I would say pick it up. Like unless it's a couple $100 and somebody's selling it as a first edition, you know, definitely check the copyright page for the number line, because the first edition in this one is going to have that full number line as well, the 10 through 1. You know, so if somebody's selling one for, you know, $250 and the number only goes to 6, you know, that's a sixth printing, you know, probably not worth spending that kind of money on. But if you can find one for, you know, I don't know, anything that would be affordable to you, I think it's such a neat book. Just the design and everything. It's one of my favorites, actually, just because it is so rare, and you know, just really nobody even knows that this one was printed. And so, yeah, really the only thing to look for on this one is that the first edition and the number line and the copyright page. You know, if you want to look, you know, this one has orange boards and a red spine. So I'm not sure if that was changed. I don't know that they even printed a book club edition of this, you know, before Da Vinci Code came out. But yeah, again, pick it up if you can. If you find one, like these absolutely sell for $250, like pretty regularly. You can definitely get them. I looked on eBay earlier today just before I was going to record this, and you know there were some for maybe $75, $80. But that's just maybe there's you never know. It's like you could get something like that, and it could be some kid could have crayoned some page in there, but a really nice copy would on Abe Books they're for sale for $1,000. So would definitely be a nice one to find for sure. So yeah, so that's it. I think those are really the only two that I think just inherently on the rare side. They were both popular, and so when you get into the first editions of later books after an author has had an explosion like the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, the first edition could have had 1 million copies, and so not super rare, not super valuable. If it's valuable to you, that's great, but don't go and spend a couple $100 on a book that came out 2 years ago that is his 10th book that nobody really read. I'm sure, I mean, he's doing great, whatever he writes great. I couldn't put together a book like he did. So but yeah, I think those are the two good examples. Some first edition points for both. If you've got any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments, and yeah, let me know what you think, and if there's anything that you want to talk about next time. And just as a little reminder, if you're new to book collecting, keep your head on your shoulders. Don't get too crazy. Just because a book is a first edition doesn't mean it's valuable. Every single book ever printed has a first edition.